You know, ladies and gentlemen, for the people that know me, I'm a confirmed Marxist. I've been a Marxist pretty well all my life, and I subscribe to the teachings of Marxism like no other person I've ever known. Now, I'm not talking about Karl Marx because, I'm Canadian. We're more socialist than Marxist. It's got to be Groucho. Now, my Jewish heritage was kept from me for pretty well most of my life until I was in my 40s. I was told how much Jewish blood was in my family, and my sense of humor and my talent and my outlook of life is more Jewish than any other religion. So I'm what you call now a failed Jew. I came out of the closet a couple of years with that, and I lost more friends than I can imagine. Maybe even easier would have been gay, and Groucho would have said the same thing. Now, today we're not going to be talking about his old career, but what I call the fifth act of Groucho's career, mostly from the mid-1960s on. Now, in 65, he got kind of a weird comeback going. He started a weekly show for British TV titled Groucho, broadcast on ITV. The program was along similar lines to You Bet Your Life. However, it was poorly received and lasted only 11 weeks. However, he started gaining the popularity in movies again and appeared in a very strange character. Marx appeared as a gangster named God in the comedy movie Skidoo, directed by Otto Preminger, and starring Jackie Gleason and Carol Channing. It was released by the studio where the Marx Brothers began their film career, Paramount Pictures. The film received almost universally negative reviews. Writer Paul Krasner published a story in the February 81 issue of High Times, relating how Marx prepared for the LSD-themed movie by taking a dose of the drug in Krasner's company and had a moving, largely pleasant experience. Now, after this, he became kind of a celebrity friend to celebrities in many, many genres. He developed friendships with rock star Alice Cooper. The two were photographed together for Rolling Stone magazine. This was after the '69 Toronto Live Piece appearance. And TV host Dick Cavett, becoming a frequent guest on Cavett's late-night talk show, even appearing in a one-man 90-minute interview. And that is a classic because he does some of his songs, talks about his trouble with Nixon. And I guess Nixon had him under investigation for a number of years as an enemy of the state. Now, in this one, he did his updated version of Lydia the Tattoo Lady. And every time I see that, I want to cry because it was one of the first times I saw Groucho Marx in what he called a non-performing format. It's very deeply moving. Now, ironically, he became friends with Elton John. He was visiting California in '72, and he and Marx became friendly. Marx insisted on calling him John Elton. According to writer Philip Norman, when Elton John was playing the piano in Marx's home, Marx jokingly pointed his index finger as if holding a pair of six-shooters. John put up his hands and said, "Don't shoot me, I'm only the piano player," thereby giving him the title for the classic album he just completed. A film poster for the Marx Brothers film Go West is visible on the album cover photograph as an homage to Marx. Elton John accompanied Marx to a performance of Jesus Christ Superstar. As the lights went down, Marx called out, "Does it have a happy ending?" And during the crucifixion scene, he declared, "This is sure to offend the Jews." Now, Marx's previous work regained popularity over the years, including the classic early movies and kind of the studio later ones. Now, new books of transcribed conversations were published by Richard J. Anobley and Charlotte Chandler. In a BBC interview in '75, Marx called his greatest achievement having a book selected for cultural preservation in the Library of Congress. Now, in a Cavett interview in '71, he said being published in the New Yorker under his own name, Julius Henry Marx, meant more than all the plays he appeared in and became a man of letters. As a man who had never had formal schooling, to have his writings declared culturally important was a point of great satisfaction. Now, ironically, he drew a lot of inspiration from his mother, which he talked about in his honorary Oscar later on. We'll get that in a second. Unfortunately, as he passed his 81st birthday in '71, Marx became increasingly frail physically and mentally as a result of a succession of minor strokes and other health issues. In '72, largely at the behest of his companion Aaron Fleming, which is controversial in itself, he staged a live one-man show at Carnegie Hall that was later released as a double album, and even with Groucho on A&M Records. He also made an appearance in '73 on a short-lived variety show hosted by Bill Cosby. Fleming's influence on Marx was controversial. Some close to Marx believed that she did much to revive his popularity, but the relationship with the younger woman also offended people but boosted his ego and vitality. Others described her as a Svengali, exploiting an increasingly frail Marx in pursuit of her own stardom. Marx's children, particularly Arthur, felt strongly that Fleming was pushing their weak father beyond his physical and mental limits. Writer Marc Evanier concurred, the comic book artist and writer. Now, on the 74 Academy Awards telecast, which was Groucho Marx's final major public appearance, Jack Lemmon presented with an honorary Academy Award to a standing ovation. The award honored Harpo, Chico, and Zeppo as well, in recognition of his brilliant creativity and the unequaled achievements of the Marx Brothers in the art of motion picture comedy. Noticeably frail, Marx took a bow for his deceased brothers, saying that I wish that Harpo and Chico could be here to share with me this great honor. Zeppo, still alive, was in the audience. He also praised the late Margaret Dumas as a great straight woman who never understood any of his jokes. Now, Marx's final appearance was a brief sketch with George Burns, in a Bob Hope television special Joys, a parody of the 75 movie Jaws in March 76. His health continued to decline the following year when his younger brother Gummo died at age 83 on April 21st. Marx was never told for fear of eliciting such further deterioration of his health. Now, Marx maintained his irrepressible sense of humor to the very end. However, George Fenneman, his radio and TV announcer, good-natured foil and lifelong friend, often related a story of one of his final visits to his home. When the time came to end the visit, Fenneman lifted Marx from his wheelchair, put his arm around his torso, and began to walk the frail comedian backwards across the room towards his bed. As he did, he heard a weak voice in his ear. Fenneman, whispered Marx, you always were a lousy dancer. When a nurse approached him with a thermometer during his final hospitalization, explaining that you wanted to see if he had a temperature, he responded, don't be silly. Everybody has a temperature. Actor Elliot Gould recalled a similar incident. I recall the last time I saw Groucho, he was in the hospital and he had tubes in his nose and what have you. And when he saw me, he was weak, but he was there. And he put his fingers on the tubes and played them like it was a clarinet. Groucho played the tubes for me, which bring me to tears. Now, Marx was hospitalized at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center with pneumonia on June 22nd, 1977, and died there nearly 2 months later at the age of 86. On August 19th, 4 months after Gummo's death. Media coverage of Groucho's death and legacy was heavily overshadowed by the sudden death of Elvis Presley 3 days later. Now, Marx's body was cremated and the ashes are interned in the Eden Memorial Park Cemetery in L.A. He was survived by his 3 children and younger brother Zeppo, who outlived him by 2 years. His gravestone bears no epitaph, but in one of the last interviews he suggested, excuse me, I can't stand up. Litigation over his estate lasted well into the 1980s. Eventually, his 3 children were awarded the bulk of the estate, while Aaron Fleming, his companion during his final years, was ordered to repay nearly $500,000. Now, Groucho's legacy is beyond the beyond. Now, the biggest tribute I saw growing up was in the MASH TV series. Several Groucho homage traits are mirrored in Alan Alda's portrayal of Hawkeye, including the 72 season 1 episode Yankee Doodle Doctor that had a full Groucho impression complete with nose, mustache, and glasses. Now, in 2023, notable artist William Ketteridge included a drawing of Marx in his Soli Museum exhibition at the Broad in L.A. Now, his first role was in Humorisk in 1921, and he acted up until, actually, he did an appearance on Julia as well, and Skidoo, I Dream of Jeannie. He was also in Will's Success, Spoil Rock Hunter. He was on You Bet Your Life for 11 years, and of course did a role with Marilyn Monroe. He said, someone was following me. I said, I don't know why. Now, the books by Groucho Marx, if you can find them, most of them are still in print. But he wrote Beds, Revised and Updated Edition, Many Happy Returns, An Official Guide to Your Income Tax Problems, illustrated by Aldo Soglo, Groucho and Me, Memoirs of a Mangy Lover, The Groucho Letters, Lesser from and to Groucho Marx, Simon & Schuster, 67, The Marx Brothers, The Scrapbook, The Secret World is Groucho, and The Groucho File, an illustrated life by Groucho Marx with Hector Aker. Essays and reporting from the 1920s. Ladies and gentlemen, how good was Groucho Marx? Well, it's like this. He said it best. I turned down a possible induction into a Hall of Fame in this province, New Brunswick, years ago. And I said to myself, there's people in there that I would want to be with. There's people in there I wouldn't want to be in the same group with. And Groucho said, I will never belong to a club that will have me as a member. I'm a lone wolf in this life. Very few people really know the real me. Very many people do not want to know the real me, like Groucho was. Do I know Groucho Marx? Was it all parody of Groucho, or was it a real Groucho? Was he ever real? He was real with Dick Cavett, the closest he ever came. But was he was he hateful, sarcastic? No. Was he sarcastic? Yes. I think really he was too good for this world. He was beyond when it come to understanding what the human condition is. You know what he would say about Donald Trump? He said, well, finally they're going to give a devil a chance. Or he's the son of Stalin and Hitler. That's probably what he would say, because he's a Jewish person that was basically a New Deal guy. So, when Trump won earlier this week, I said, what would Groucho think? And Groucho had said, when you have nothing good to say, when you have nothing good to say about somebody, don't say anything. And you stop it right there. So, about Trump? Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, and don't post on this and saying, well, you're talking about Donald Trump and you're not allowed to. This is my fucking channel. If you don't like it, go fucking someplace else. Light a candle to Donald Trump in your own fucking basement, you redneck cocksuckers. But if you're really nice people and you like Groucho Marx, thanks for staying. But if you're a bunch of Trump cocksuckers, drop me, fuck off. Groucho rarely used profanity, but I'm a modern Groucho. Like I said, if you don't like what I say here, too bad. Leave. If you think what I'm saying has comedic talent, stay. That's all I'm saying. Have a good one. Bye.